Hi, today's National Step Family Day, and I am really happy to be a step family relationship advocate myself. I have the privilege today of meeting with Jennie Murdock to bring you guys some great advice from a counseling perspective. Sometimes it can be really hard to find resources or advocates for you as a stepmom or being in a blended family. And so I had the opportunity to interview Jennie Murdock and give you guys some great tips and advice, especially when it comes to working with the ex. Um, I know most everybody struggles in that dynamic. So here's some great tips from Jennie Murdock. Most prevalent topics that come up as a therapist talking to families who are in a blended step family. What are some of the best topics that come up or the highest topics?
Well, having been a step parent myself, having witnessed step parenting from my first husband's family, blended family of 12 children, so I was watching that for 20 years and then doing it myself and then seeing it with my children, so my children and their spouses in a blended family, and doing it with my clients. I guess I've had a lot of experience, as you asked me, but what I find overall comes up the most is just this confusion and almost fear about how they're going to make a successful transition to blending a new family and not having the encroachment from their ex-spouse and on that relationship, because so often the reason why they got divorced is because of a toxic relationship that couldn't be resolved, and they're trying to get away from that and start a new relationship. But just because you're divorced doesn't mean that relationship goes away.
Absolutely not.
And a lot of times the underlying dynamics of what creates the toxicity, I have found, is undiagnosed, untreated personality disorders, including specifically borderline and narcissism, sometimes going into antisocial, but those. And to me, the adult personality disorders are usually an outgrowth of untreated, unresolved, undiagnosed reactive attachment disorders in childhood. And so dealing with them, understanding them, working with it so that you don't get pulled in and having it affect you personally to the point where it's bringing you down as a person, making you doubt your worth and wondering what you're doing wrong, and trying extra hard, almost in a codependent way, is to learn the dynamics of what creates a personality disorder and how to deal with it. So my recommendation, I wish I'd had this years ago myself, and everyone I talk to says, oh my gosh, because once they read a book about the dynamics of borderline or narcissism, it just opens a whole new world for people. They just go, it makes everything so clear to me, and I understand so much better now what I've been dealing with and why I feel the way I do, and I'm not encouraging it or recommending it as a judgment on anyone, but just as a deeper understanding, to understand yourself, the dynamics of your failed relationship, and helping prevent that pattern being recreated and perpetuated forever, with your, and passed down to your children, because there's so much insecurity and resentment and anger and fear that goes into separating that relationship and blending a new one. And so those emotions, those beliefs, just kind of bleed over and infiltrate the new relationship and make it more challenging to build a successful relationship unless you can manage the old one better.
That is great advice. I know many of us struggle. One of our number one challenge is definitely dealing with the ex-spouse, the dynamics that come with the children, just trying to merge that and blend that together when you have that opposition. Jennie, what are some, you said there are tools in these books. What are some of the books you might recommend for understanding narcissistic?
I have a bunch right here that I just keep handy because it comes up so often. I wish it didn't, but it does. And so these are several really good ones for understanding borderline personality.
This
And
is one
that's-
I read personally just very recently, also recommended by Jennie Murdock, and I loved it. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
It just answers the question of what am I doing wrong, helping clarify that not necessarily doing anything wrong, just not in the most appropriate way that's a healthy way to deal with your ex-spouse, you know, that won't trigger them, won't get you hooked in. So there's it's a lot about boundary setting.
That's
And
excellent.
and the negative self-talk that we fall into, and someone who's a very caring empathic type person is usually one that gets locked in that toxic relationship because you're going to fix it, you're going to make it all right, and
I
you
know a little about that.
And so these books help, and this is a great one for understanding the mind and heart of someone who's struggling with narcissism. And it isn't your typical one size fits all. There's 10 different varieties of ways that someone can, you know, end up struggling with narcissism. And they're usually very gifted, brilliant, charismatic people that are deeply wounded and using a mask, wearing a mask, not consciously, but wearing a mask to survive. And that gets into some really toxic patterns. So knowing what we're dealing with, understanding the language to use, not beating ourselves up, and owning the part that's ours and not taking on somebody else's are, I think,
that's
things
so
I'd
key.
recommend. So
Thank you so much. That wraps up our session for today. Really such a privilege to meet with Jennie Murdock. The thing I love about Jennie Murdock is not only is she a regular family therapist and counselor, but she also, the thing I love about Jennie is that she also practices office. I would definitely recommend Jennie Murdock, and I've got her here today. She's going to give you that contact information. Highly recommended. She's done wonders in my own personal life with my stepfamily and dynamics. So I turn the time to Jennie.
okay, thank you. I'm Jennie Murdock, and I've been a licensed clinical social worker for 30 years now. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and I have a lot of credentials and certifications with other modalities. Like Shar was saying, a lot I found that just talk therapy alone does not cut it. So I do body work, oriented somatic therapies, energy work, EMDR. I do neurofeedback, brainwave training, which has been phenomenal for people who are stuck in all kinds of ways. And my address, if you want that, 21 North, 490 West in American Fork, Utah. And the phone number to reach my secretary is 801-636-9600.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jennie.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you're looking for a great family therapist, I would definitely recommend Jennie Murdock, and I've got her here today. She's going to give you that contact information. Highly recommended. She's done wonders in my own personal life with my stepfamily and dynamics. So I turn the time to Jennie.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jennie Murdock, and I've been a licensed clinical social worker for 30 years now. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and I have a lot of credentials and certifications with other modalities. Like Shar was saying, a lot I found that just talk therapy alone does not cut it. So I do body work, oriented somatic therapies, energy work, EMDR. I do neurofeedback, brainwave training, which has been phenomenal for people who are stuck in all kinds of ways. And my address, if you want that, 21 North, 490 West in American Fork, Utah. And the phone number to reach my secretary is 801-636-9600.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jennie.
Thank you.